Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Alina Islam, and I'm a mining analyst here at Red Cloud Securities. I'm very pleased to introduce Western Metallica to you today, an exploration company advancing a portfolio of projects in Spain. For the webinar today, we have with us key members of Western Metallica's management team, including Greg, Giovanni, and Tara. They will provide an introduction to the company, including an overview of activities underway at the Nueva Celti copper project located in southern Spain. After the presentation, we'll take your questions live. Please send us your questions via the chat box, and we'll get through as many as we can. Before we get started, though, I do need to mention the disclosures. For Western Metallica, there may be some forward looking statements made on this call. I would direct listeners to the cautionary note on page 2 of the Western Metallica corporate presentation, located on the company's website. For Red Cloud Securities, I would highlight that this webinar is for information purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation to purchase or sell securities or a recommendation to buy or sell securities. We note that this call does not take into account the particular situation or needs of individual investors. Participants should rely on their own investigations and seek their own professional advice before investment. Please see our most recent research located on our website for Western Metallica specific disclosures. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Greg, Giovanni, and Tara. Please take it away.
Yeah. Hi, all. Thank you for taking the time today to learn about Western Metallica Resources. As a corporate overview, Western Metallica Resources is a mineral exploration company headquartered in Toronto, Ontario, with an exploration office in Asturias. And the company is currently listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol WMS. WMS properties are located in the Navel gas gold belt in a comparable geological environment to the El Valle Buenas Carles gold mine and the significant Salave project. These both deposits certainly are significant and material deposits in the area. The 4 gold belts identified in Western Asturias and Galicia are in northwest Spain, are formed by multiple gold mineralizing events representing several styles of mineralization in a structurally complex environment, but favorable terrain. The priority project for the company currently, the Nueva Celti gold project, Nueva Celti copper project located in the Ossa Morena geological belt in the region of Andalusia. This is the region where the former Cala and Agua Blanca mines are also located. The Nueva Celti project was a past producing mine with head grades reported at commercial grade copper. Western Metallica's 4 properties are surrounded by major exploration firms and mining exploitation firms, including Matsa, First Quantum, Pan Global, Atalaya, Emerita Resources, and Orvana. Spain is a strategic location primed for exploration and mining. Spain is one of the best mining jurisdictions in Western Europe. It's rich in geology and very mining-friendly region with a pro-mining regional administration, transparent law, and competitive fiscal regime. Spain is a EU member country with a strong rule of law, a historic mining jurisdiction with the availability of highly skilled local labor and first-class infrastructure. And certainly a long history of gold, copper, and zinc mining. Western Metallica's management team is made up of in-country experience and vast amounts of international geological and mining experience. And in terms of the capital structure, the company has has currently shares outstanding of approximately 51.3 million shares, sorry, and so a very tight capital structure which has been maintained since listing. And currently, management and directors own approximately 25% of the outstanding shares. So I now will turn over the presentation to our VP Exploration, Giovanni, who will provide a more detailed overview of the company's projects.
Thanks, Greg. Good afternoon, everybody. I start presenting Nueva Celti, the advancement of the exploration of Nueva Celti, this copper property where we are focusing right now. Nueva Celti is located within the Olivienza Monasterio metallogenic belt of the Ossa Morena region in Andalusia. A long history mining district for precious and base metal, where the Calablanca, Agua Blanca deposits are also located. The project is covered by about 1,500 hectares exploration permit, strategically located close to the industrial port of Sevilla and Huelva, the Sevilla airport, and connected with high-speed highway to Sevilla. Copper mineralization Nueva Celti is recognized since ancient times, although this wasn't until early last century when the first underground mining started. Between 1912 and 1918, the production reached its top at a grade of, say, 5% copper plus other metals such as silver. By that time, only one of the body of the entire system was exploited down to 120 meters. After a long pause, the last mining period took place in late 50s with the development of 5 level and 2 shafts of 130, 121 meters. In late 70s, early 80s, Asturiana Zinc, part of Glencore, optioned the property and carried out some exploration activities. These include the execution of 19 drill holes that return encouraging copper, zinc, lead, and silver results from a set of parallel structures, varying thickness between 1 and 13 meters. The first week of March this year, the company, Western Metallica, launched a 2-phase 3,000 meters diamond drilling program aimed at investigating at depth and on strike the mineralization exploited during until late 50s and drilled by Asturiana Zinc in the 70s. To the current status of the knowledge, mainly based on analysis of historical drilling information, the program is aimed at proving the continuity at depth for about 400 meters, on strike for about 400 meters, at least 20 meters in width. The company to date has completed about 1,200 meters of drilling. The largest plan view you see on the slide shows the current drilling area, outlined by the surface projection of the model bodies in yellow, the location of the 50-meter spaced cross-section in green, as well as the executed and planned drill holes of the current program. The plan also shows the area where the company intends to run the first week of June or the second week of June, we don't know yet, a 30 kilometers of combined mag and gravimetry service aimed at investigating the possible northern extension of the mineralization as well as the possible repetition of the same trend mineralization to the east. We think that mag in particular will be very effective as the mineralization is always accompanied by very high mag susceptibility values. The small plan view you see on this slide on the top shows the 5,100 hectares retortillo investigation permit that was recently applied to secure the eastern extension of the current title and mineralization. On the next, to go in details on the current exploration, this slide shows the 2 sections for which we received the results today. We drilled another section meters further north, but the results are still pending. These sections, however, are 100 meters distant each other. The drill hole NCDD1 and CDD2 were planned aimed at comparing the historical grades and geology. In general, The drilling confirmed the presence of the exploited bodies. On the section, you can see, I hope, the mining level as well, but also intercepted new mineralized zone at surface and at depth. The mineralization is represented by up to 50% of disseminated chalcopyrite and pyrite. Is today considered tectonic and strata-bound type, as described for other deposits of the belt, and hosted up by mica schist amphibolites that maybe represent metavolcanics and metavolcanoclasts. Both average thickness and copper grades are generally exceeding the results from the historical program, but to be fair, the Asturian zinc results could have been biased by the objective to evaluate only zinc potential. Then large portion of the cores that are fortunate are not available anymore, possibly are not being sampled and not properly logged. We think, for instance, that some disseminated chalcopyrite intervals are not being previously considered. We are going to north of Spain on Sierra Alta. It is a greenfield gold project constituted by 90 claims covering about 2,500 hectares and located in the southern edge of the Navelgas gold belt in Asturias. The Navelgas gold belt is one of the three main gold belts in northern Spain and is well known for the presence of several gold occurrences, alluvial gold, and Roman workings, extending for 70 kilometers in length and 18 kilometers in width. The potential of Sierra Alta is represented by a 9-kilometer corridor where several documented Roman workings are aligned. The total regional extent of the mineralization corridor exceeds in reality 20 kilometers on strike, controlled by the regional La Freita Corcabonderua fault. Gold at Sierra Alta is associated with the occurrence of jasperoidal breccia and wide zone of argillic alteration and silicification, considered to be the surface expression of a low sulfidation system. The company has launched a first stage 500 meters two-hole diamond drilling program aimed at testing at depth the most important Roman workings represented by La Freita, and where the best results up to 21 grams gold from a recent channel sampling program, as well as the best outcome of jasperoidal silic breccia have been identified. Unfortunately, the drilling has been delayed only due to the exceptional snow in Asturias February, March this year, followed by a couple of big fires in April. Not a very lucky region weather-wise, but at Penedella, moving a few kilometers to south. Penedella is about a 2,500 hectares property located in the historical gold camp in the Ibias district at the southern edge of the Navelgas gold belt, also in Asturias. The belt is located within the western Asturias-Leonese zone, is dominated by lower Paleozoic formation and shows the same geological potential of other deposits, including the only producing gold mine in Spain, that is the Valle Boinas mine, operated by Giovanni. Penedella is like another property, Valle d'Or, is located 9 kilometers northwest, is also located in an historical gold camp with Roman adits and also following lead and zinc mineralization. Penedella has been the object of different drilling campaigns in the early 90s, totaling about 2,000 meters, and more recently by Western Metallica that drilled the 12 holes corresponding to about 2,200 in 2020 and last year. This program mainly interested the most obvious target of the western limb of the San Martin anticline, returning multiple gold mineralization intercepts from the contact between shale and quartzite. During last year, the company has investigated other 4 possible targets related to a structural framework dominated by a sequence of tight fold and showing a potential for saddle reef mineralization. However, the Penedella project was drilled to a maximum of only 130 meters vertical from surface for a total of less than 500 meters from strike. The interest for Penedella is now being addressed to the structural corridor running approximately north-south for 3 kilometers and related to dilational structure that, according to the current interpretation, are be only partially tested at depth on strike, I say. The slide shows the current target followed for Penedella along a sinister strike lead, generally occupying the western limb of the San Martin anticline as shown on the map on the right. The mineralization is generally classified as orogenic shear-roasted gold with at least 2 types recognized so far: a mesothermal mineralization with historical grade up to 8 meters at 11 grams gold, and single samples of nearly 200 grams of gold, and a skarno type mineralization that is indicated in orange on the left map, that is less developed with grades up to 60 grams gold. To conclude this project overview, we outline the presence of more than 30 gold and base metal Roman works on the district where the projects are located. Valle d'Or represents another greenfield target gold project of about 3,500 hectares on the southern edge of the same Navelga gold belt, approximately 9 kilometers north-northeast from Penedella. Valle d'Or has been very poorly, don't say maybe nothing explored so far, but also is known for mineralization exploited since the Roman time, aligned again along North 20 corridor. Finally, this chronogram illustrates the 2023 exploration program, mainly focused on keep drilling a 3,000 meters program aimed at define geometry and size of the Nueva Celti mineralization, generate new drilling targets at Nueva Celti covering the property with mag and gravimetric surveys, start testing by drilling the most obvious target at Sierra Alta, such as the best surface gold grades of Africa. At the moment, land access and drilling permits are aligned with the current exploration program, and Western Metallica doesn't expect any delay on respect to the scheduled activity. Thank you very much. This is what.
So, if I may, in conclusion, I believe Western Metallica provides a compelling investment opportunity with a strong portfolio of resource properties in a mining-friendly jurisdiction, with our current share price suggesting an enterprise value of a negative enterprise value, and with a strong treasury of approximately $4.2 million. So ample financial resources to continue exploring these properties. So once again, thank you very much for taking the time to learn about Western Metallica.
Well, thanks a lot, Greg and Giovanni. That was a great presentation. So we'll now get started with the Q&A portion of the webinar. Just as a reminder to our participants, you can type your questions into the chat box at any time. So Greg and Giovanni, we do have a few questions here already. How much was historically produced at Nueva Celti before?
Greg, we don't know. So we are still tracking some historical reports, but we don't really have any historical data about the production.
Yeah.
We have some indication about the had grades have been binding between the 3 and 5%, but really are not being validated by any document so far. So we know that there have been a copper mine, and this is what we are proving with the current drilling, with the results that are confirming copper grade, interesting copper grades, but nothing about production.
Yeah. Other than really in terms of, how deep the mining did go as well, and I think where the opportunity for this project is kind of below where the old mine stopped. Suggesting that there should be really no reason why the mineralization wouldn't continue to go deeper.
Yeah. Well, at the moment we are drilling about 200 meters deeper than the deeper mining level. So the mineralization is still there. So that's encouraging.
Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties there. I just dropped off for a second. But I'll move on to the next question. So when do you expect results from hole number 3 at Nueva Celti?
Hole number 3 should be in the next few days, and then once we've completed hole number 4, we would release hole number 3 and 4 together. So hole number 4 is currently at a depth of approximately 200 meters, with anticipated depth of approximately 300 meters. 10 to 14 days lab turnaround time. So I would suggest the middle of June would be our next release of results.
Okay, so then with phase 2, which areas are you targeting?
Giovanni?
Say again, I'm sorry, I didn't.
So with your phase 2 program, so once you have hole 3 and 4, I believe you're doing a phase 2 drill program as well. Which areas of the project will you be targeting with that?
For number 3 and number 4, we are investigating the length of strike, the 400 meters size on strike of the deposit that was mentioned in the presentation. So these are very important for us to define the length on strike. And then if this is confirmed, the aim is to expand with geophysics to the north and extend the length on strike and start doing some infill then on strike with more consistent drilling. But this first 3,000 meters are mainly aimed to prove that we are dealing maybe with initial 400 meters length by 400 meters deep body, at least 20 meters wide.
Okay. So with Nueva Celti, where exactly is the project located? Is it close to a town?
So Nueva Celti is approximately 80 kilometers, I would suggest, east of Seville, which Seville is essentially the 4th largest city in Spain, in the Andalusian region. So it's in the kind of the eastern part of the Seville province, bordering on Cordoba.
But are there any towns in the nearby region or population, like people that live there?
Nothing of significance, no. So okay. I would suggest the primary industry right now would be agriculture and primarily oranges.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I know you talked about Sierra Alta in your presentation. So when do you plan to get drilling started over there?
We think within 2-3 weeks we'll be able to drill the first hole at La Freita. I said we had some delay, so we had to move the staff to other projects, but I think we will have staff ready and logistics ready. We hope by end of June for sure.
So initially, from what I recall, I think you had 5 holes planned there, and now I guess you've reevaluated and will now be doing 2.
Yes, we plan. We are very conservative on this because personally, I have a strange feeling with Romans because I'm Italian. So, and we are going to test with 500 meters the most important Roman working site, and then we want to move to the next two Roman sites, but we want to start looking and study what's controlling the mineralization of La Freca that is the most impressive. So we think with 500 meters we are okay to understand what kind of mineralization we are dealing with. That is very, very poorly known so far. So because there is also a coverage, it's not easy to.
The Lafrate, the Roman workings, is one of the largest, I would suggest, in Spain or in the Iberian Peninsula, really, or even more so. It's it's certainly of significance.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So last question here, gentlemen. Could you provide a summary of your catalysts in the next 6 to 12 months?
So I would say, really, as we continue to move with Nueva Celti, that's our priority target. And I think what's going to be, it seems that the results for the first 4 holes, once we do receive the first 4 holes, will demonstrate some evidence that the historical data that we have is somewhat validated. And so really now it's going to be seeing if we can create something of a bigger size. And so the step out program is where it's going to start to suggest whether we can actually demonstrate a sizable deposit that could ultimately become a mine. And we do have a treasury for that, as I said before, which I think is significant. Given our depressed share price, we certainly wouldn't want to have to go back to the market, at these levels. And so, I think the whole idea, what we're trying to do is, not rush to try to get a resource out. We want to demonstrate the potential for a sizable deposit, and then we can go back to the market and fund delineation drilling. I mean, that's not a problem once you can kind of, with reasonable probability, suggest that you've got a sizable deposit. And then we are looking at, we are with our strong in-country management team, where we are looking at other projects in the Iberian Peninsula. There are certainly some interesting opportunities where dealing with parties that that don't have big treasuries and are quite anxious to do transactions. And so, but we're trying to take that doing that in a careful manner, so we don't get into the wrong deal. And we want to ultimately do a deal. We want something that's going to be certainly accretive to the company. We don't necessarily want more of the same. We want something bigger and better, if you like.
So would you only look at Spain, or would you look elsewhere as well?
No, we would, as long as it makes sense for the company. I mean, we've got a strong, I should suggest, we've got a strong team in country, but all the in-country team, including Giovanni and Joaquin, have international experience. And so they have experience in really a lot of the other large copper jurisdictions, in the world and in South America. So, so there would be no reason, as long as it's the right deal, that we wouldn't entertain it. That's, we're not focused. There's no reason why we need to be just focused primarily in the Iberian Peninsula, as long as the transaction makes sense.
Okay, great. Well, lots to look forward to with Western Metallica. So Greg and Giovanni, thanks a lot for joining us today. Thank you to everyone who joined us on the webinar. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.